Hello, welcome back to the Big Man Up Top podcast. I'm here again with producer Tom.
Hello, hi Joe.
You're back.
I'm back.
Yep, 3 weeks in a row.
I know, right? Yeah. What top form?
Regular name on the team sheet now.
Yeah. Are there any substitutes that have done this in the past that have stepped in? You know
what? There was last season. There's a striker called Aston Villa called John Duran, and he came off the bench quite a bit, scored a few goals. Then he started a few games, and he wasn't as effective. So essentially, what I'm saying is, you might not be as effective from the start as you have been off the bench previously.
Just call me Tom Duran.
That's really good. Ed's not here.
Yeah, no, Ed's not here. I'm still subbing in because he's still away for the last week. However, so you can look forward to seeing Ed and Joe back on top form.
We
next
are
week.
Back to normal next week.
Mm-hmm.
I promise.
Yes.
Unless one of us loses our voice. But Ed has sent a voice note, Tom.
Oh, wonderful! He's not lost his voice then. That's brilliant.
You still think about Tom Duran. It's really good. Let's listen to Ed's voice note.
Hey Joe. Hope you're well.
I am.
I just wanted to let you know where I am. I'm on a bit of a top secret mission, which I can't really talk about, but I'm currently in Mexico. And I am in Guadalajara, outside the Estadio Jalisco, which is the stadium where England played Brazil in the 1970 World Cup. And also, coincidentally, the stadium where my granddad, Gordon Banks, made the unbelievable save against Pele. And I've just managed to see the stadium and go inside it. And what a remarkable experience. And I don't really know what this means. But what it does mean is that it just highlights the wonderfulness that is international football during this international break. And it's just got me excited about England playing in North America for the World Cup next summer. Come on, England.
Now, it's best not to dwell on what Ed's top secret mission is.
He did sound, though, like he was kind of wary about him. Like he was walking somewhere and that car sounded a bit scary.
I think it sounded like a motorbike, did it not?
Oh, it could have been. Something revving very loudly.
Definitely some revving going on.
A scary vehicle.
I think there might have been a helicopter in the background.
I think Ed's on the run from the law.
So when I said we're back to normal next week,
who knows?
We might be live from a Mexican jail. But look,
the big man in jail is what.
The big man in jail. England won a game this weekend, Tom.
I watched.
Yes,
and it was fantastic.
It was
almost a hat trick from Mr. Kane.
Yeah, and they have won every single World Cup qualification game.
They're like 12-0, right? They're
something like that.
Yeah, they're on a fantastic streak, and they haven't dropped a goal either.
No,
have they?
Not conceded a goal at all.
It's looking good.
Tom, whisper it quietly.
Good. Sorry, it might be. It might be coming home. Just quieter.
A bit quieter, please.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ed seems to think so. He's pretty happy about it.
He's pretty happy. He's pretty optimistic. Things often go wrong in a major tournament, but we will see.
We will see.
This episode, Tom, I had a lovely conversation with a man called Robin Peake. Now, he is the deputy CEO of Wycliffe Bible Translators, but he also likes football. So that's good, isn't it?
Well, who doesn't in this day and age, Joe?
Well, exactly. You've got it these days. And the thing is, I sat down to chat with Robin, and I thought, how can we tenuously link Bible translation and football? Tell you what, Bible translation, that's about making the Bible accessible. And I tell you what else is accessible.
Some kind of sport, maybe?
Football.
Football!
Football is accessible, but I thought that was slightly too tenuous. So we just had a chat. Me and Robin had a chat about football, and the work of Wycliffe came up naturally, and I'm really excited to play this.
Excellent.
Shall we do it?
Let's hear it.
So joining me, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce the Deputy CEO of Wycliffe Bible Translators, Robin Peake. Robin, how are you doing?
Yeah, great, Joe. Long-time listener, first-time guest, so really happy to be here.
Such a joy to have you on. And I can't help but notice, for those of you watching on YouTube, Robin, what's that kit behind you?
That kit is a Northern Ireland football kit. I'm a big Northern Ireland fan. Went to my first match 1995. So I was 9 years old. I wasn't really sure about football. Some friends from church took me, and I really didn't have a clue. Like, I had to ask what colour we were. And I didn't really understand much. And then I got home and I watched the highlights of the match, and I was really surprised at how the match seemed to take longer when I was there. But then when I watched it, it seemed to go by much quicker. I just really didn't have a clue at all. But that was the match that, I mean, we lost because that's what we do. But had we won, we would have been at Euro 96. So behind me is a Northern Ireland kit from about 2005, that kind of time. So this is the kit that we... Northern Ireland had when we last played England, and the score in that game, of course, was 1-0 to Northern Ireland.
Phenomenal stuff. It's an early mention for Northern Ireland winning.
I mean, we're unbeaten against England now for 20 years.
Well, look, you'll take it. You got to take it. Now, speaking of Northern Ireland, you've had quite the big weekend, Robin. Why don't you talk us through what you've been up to?
Yeah, so we're doing this on Monday afternoon. So Friday night I was in Košice, which is in the eastern part of Slovakia. I was over there to watch Northern Ireland lose and not score. That was good fun to get out. I like to get out and do some away games. They generally are a great atmosphere. I went through a season where I would just try to go to any random away game. So I went to watch our under-19s play in Belgium. There was like three of us. They wouldn't even open the away stand for us. But I love travel. I love football. Being able to combine those things is great. It wasn't a superbly planned trip. We thought the match would be in Bratislava, so we booked flights to go to Vienna, which is obviously not in even the same country. But then it ended up being in Košice on the other side. So we spent like 12 hours on trains over 24 hours to get there and back, but it was worth it.
Gosh, and we'll come on to talk about your other travels. But what was the atmosphere like? What's the Slovakian football atmosphere like?
Yeah, well, we had a good view on that because as well as being disorganised on flights, we were disorganised on tickets. So I ended up sitting in the home end. So it was kind of there under cover. But yeah, it was quite a kind of modern stadium. I don't know. I'm not such a fan of modern stadiums. So it was very kind of four stands, pretty bland. The atmosphere was decent. They had a kind of big banner unfurled at the start. I don't really know if there were any ultras or were the kind of main side of that. But the stadium didn't really contain the sound in much of that way. But we stood up when they scored and did the appropriate things. But yeah, it's always nice to experience football in a different place, a different environment, and we certainly enjoyed that on Friday night.
And joined in with some Slovakian chants. Did you pick up any of the chants?
The only Slovakian I came away with, and I work in Bible translation, so language is everything we're about. But to say hello in Slovakian is to say ahoy. So it's spelled AHOJ, but it is spoken like a pirate. So that was a lot of fun.
That's really nice. That's where it's all come from. Now, speaking of this game, Slovakia won, Northern Ireland win. Like you say, you didn't get the win. Great experience. But this feels like quite an exciting time to be a Northern Ireland fan, right? I think, you have qualified for the World Cup playoffs. I mean, I don't know how it's through this Nations League structure. I don't know. Do you have your head around how this has happened?
I am less involved in the how, but just the end result is we kept getting relegated. It took us I think 4 years to win a Nations League game. So the result of that was we kept getting relegated, ended up in Group D. We won that group because there were really easy teams in that. And that meant somehow we've ended up with a playoff place. So we've got a kind of 4 teams now for 16 teams for the last 4 World Cup spots. So we'll find out later this week who we play. So it could be Italy away, something like that. That would be a nice away day. Doesn't exactly help our chances. But yeah, we've got a good squad at the minute. We've got a few players in the Premier League. Connor Bradley's the standout of those. Really excellent player. He plays about 3 different positions for us. kind of covering ground all over the pitch for that. We got 2 lads at Sunderland. We got Trey Hume and Dan Ballard, Justin Devaney at Crystal Palace, and Callum Marshall, who's on the bench at West Ham. So we got some Prem players, but we're mostly kind of Championship, with a usual kind of striker from League One, who can't score. That tends to be the makeup of our team.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a really exciting time, like you listed all those players, but there's something about the heart of this team as well, right? I watched the game against Germany a few weeks ago, and they were just really up for it. I mean, a cracking goal in that game by Justin Devaney as well, but it feels like something could happen. Like you said, playoffs, you could play Italy, Turkey, Poland. Who do you fancy in the next round?
Well, it's a strange thing as a football fan, because of course you're supposed to fancy the team that you're most likely to beat, but I'm kind of looking at it going, where would be the best away day? So that kind of comes into it too. I think, and then there's part of it that is, I'd love to go to see us qualify for the World Cup. I'd love to go to the World Cup. We haven't qualified since 1986, so the year I was born. Pat Jennings was in goal, celebrating his 40th birthday the same day we played Brazil. So it's a long time since we've been at a World Cup. We were at the Euros 10 years ago, made it out there. That was great atmosphere. And you've got this expanded format, and you think, wouldn't it be great to go to that? But I'm also trying to work out, if we go, can I afford it, and how do I justify that as a family holiday? But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, I think we've got a really good team kind of coming up through, a really young team. In Michael O'Neill, so Michael's got 100 games behind him. He's done 2 different spells either side of being in charge of Stoke, and just a really good manager, really good man manager, really good tactically, very shrewd, and just seems really cut out for international football management as well. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. We've been through the doldrums. I remember going to watch us. We lost 4-1 against Norway in 2004, and we were celebrating like mad because it was the first time we had scored a goal in 1,294 minutes. We had the world record for the longest international team without scoring a goal, which I don't think we hold anymore. But that was real doldrums kind of time. So we've got lots of reasons to be hopeful right now.
It feels like a long time since the days of David Healy dragging you through every qualifying match, right?
I mean, David Healy was just a legend, absolute legend. He'll probably end up managing Northern Ireland some days. He's manager of Linfield in the Irish League at the minute. But our record goals scored before David Healy had 13 goals, and I think he hit that within a few years. Ended up with 36 goals, and he's just this great player for us. He had this strange thing where his clubs, whether it was Sunderland or Fulham or Leeds, they just couldn't understand. But every time he pulled on a green shirt, he could just finish like mad. I remember probably the best game I was ever at was at Windsor Park. And it was Spain, and this was the Spain of, so this is 2006. You had Fabregas, you had Puyol, it's the team that went on to win 08, 2010, 2012, kind of back-to-back European and World Championships. And we beat them 3-2, and it was just amazing. Johnny Evans made his debut in that game. David Healy got a hat-trick. Absolutely incredible scenes. So yeah, but
the glory days.
The glory days, yeah. Although, I mean, it's all about your generation, and so the glory days for us were probably the 1980s at the 82 World Cup. Obviously beat Spain 1-0, then in Mexico in 86, and we also were at the World Cup in 1958, where we denied Italy a place in the World Cup by beating them in our qualification group. So,
well, Robin, it seems obviously football isn't just a hobby for you. You know your stuff. It's quite clear you're a fact machine, a stat machine when it comes to football. Now, there's a reason for that, isn't there? By day, you translate the Bible. By night, you've got a master's in football history.
Yeah, I have a master's in football history, which is not very common, surprisingly. And actually, it doesn't really exist. So I did a history at university. And of course, like anyone who does history, you get to the end of your degree and you think, that was really fun, but how on earth can I use that if I don't want to be a teacher? And so they were offering research masters, and I thought, it'd be fun to research football. I like football. I like history. Let's combine the two. And so I wrote a proposal, and incredibly, the government, I mean, these were different days, but the government gave me money. So they paid for my fees, and they gave me a grant to study football history. So I found an obscure Irishman called Patrick O'Connell, who had played for Man United during the First World War, who managed Barcelona during the Spanish Civil War, and I looked at his career and some of the different things around that. But it was a really fun year, and of course, there's nothing really useful with that. I mean, if history didn't really serve me career-wise, then football history didn't exactly widen my options. But what I did learn is that if I can get the government to give me money for a master's in football history, then maybe I can raise money for Christian causes. And so I've kind of taken that fundraising and ended up working for different Christian charities, including Wycliffe Bible Translators today. So my role is more on inviting people in churches to get involved, to do good things so that more people can have the Bible in their language. So yeah, that was my takeaway from my year of doing a master's in football history.
It's all worth it, and we'll come on to the work of Wycliffe later on and dive into that a little bit more. But you spoke about this manager through World War One. Is that kind of the area of football that intrigues you the most, or is there a particular decade that is my thing?
Yeah, I think, well, I end up looking at kind of some of the origins of football. You know, a lot of it was out of churches who had this kind of like masculine Christianity kind of approach. So, you know, these unruly boys, what shall we do? Let's get them playing sport, and they can run around a lot and burn off loads of energy. And maybe that will help their behavior. I've got a 9-year-old son, so I have some sympathy with that theory. And then kind of looked at, you know, I was interested in I guess just football through the ages. You know, this was kind of the professionals and the amateurs kind of trade off. So, you know, professional sports players, that was really controversial when that came, you know, because this is this pure thing, and why would you dare pay people to do it, you know? And you still got some of those arguments kind of in the Corinthian teams and stuff like that. So anyway, I could geek out on this stuff for a long time, but it was certainly fun deep diving into some of this. And I actually ended up going to I took my son on a tour of Windsor Park, so the home of Northern Ireland football. And the tour guide there, you know, very knowledgeable, has kind of read up, swatted up on all these things. And he shows some of the pictures on the wall, and he says, does anyone know who this is? And it's George Best. Does anyone know who this is? And it's Pat Jennings. And then he says, I bet no one knows who this is. And he points to this obscure black and white photo. And I say, well, actually, I did a master's on that guy. And then he kind of got really nervous as he told the little that he knew about Patrick O'Connell. But yeah, I was able to check that all his facts were correct.
What a nerve-wracking moment that must have been for him to, you know, an expert in the field right in front of him.
Oh, I mean, good pun.
You're welcome. Now, you mentioned though that this, you know, this masters you did is niche. It's maybe not fared in your career that much.
No, it's not very vocational, is it? It doesn't really open up lots of doors and opportunities.
But surely there's something here about connection, right? I know as someone that goes to a church, football is often something I will go to as the first thing when I meet someone new. Do you like football?
Yeah.
Do you experience that as well? I feel like you have such a breadth of knowledge that you can kind of go deep when it comes to football and connect with people through this.
Yeah, I have like football amnesia though. So I've kind of studied, you know, this kind of football in the kind of Victorian era. And through World War One, I grew up in the 90s, so I've got kind of knowledge of that. And I used to geek out on loads of stats, and you know, like the 1982 and 86 World Cup. And then, like, I feel like I don't know, like post university, I just have this amnesia. So I've no idea who won the Premier League, no idea who won the Champions League, because I just kind of fell out of football. I think I got married, and I just felt like I had to leave that behind.
Dangerous things, isn't it?
It really was. I remember having Sunday dinner with my wife, and it was just the two of us, and this was the Man City were about to win, you know, the Premier League for the first time, and it was, you know, that famous goal by Aguero. And she was just like, why do you keep checking your phone? This is really rude. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is historic. But yeah, so kind of fell out of football in that way. But yeah, football, I mean, it does. It brings loads of people together. And it's just that way, isn't it? We're always looking to connect with people, to find that common ground, to strike up conversation, and it's just great, you know. Like being in Slovakia at the weekend, you know, and you know, I can't speak Slovak, and the Slovaks we were talking to couldn't speak much English, but there's this commonality of football and this kind of banter that goes across traditions and languages and culture. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And
you can almost just drop out footballers' names, right? Marek Hamsik, just Martin Skirtle. Just keep saying Slovakian players' names, and you will connect. It's a really powerful tool. Now, this trip to Slovakia, this was this wasn't just a one-off, right? This is part of a challenge that you're doing. Why don't you tell us about this challenge you're doing before you turn 40?
Yeah, so I'll turn 40 in March next year. So what are we, November? So I've got about 5 months left of my 30s, which I'm really, really enjoying. And so I started taking my son to football matches, encouraged him to play football, started taking him to matches. He didn't really get into it at first. We lived in Oxford at the time, and going to watch kind of League One in December was probably not the best introduction for him to get really passionate about it. But we started following Oxford, and we started going to a few away games, and kind of an away game turned into 2, turned into 5. And then worked out, I was like, son, I think we could set a challenge to try to see 40 football matches in 40 different stadiums before I turned 40. So actually he didn't come with me to Slovakia this time, so that one doesn't count. But we're on 30 now, so we've been to the Mournflick Stadium, we've been to Hillsborough's, probably our favourite stadium actually, to see Sheffield Wednesday against Oxford. We've been to Mournview Park, which is Glenavon play in Northern Ireland. We went to watch Soccer Aid at Old Trafford. So we've been to some big stadiums, and we've been to some tiny little stadiums as well, just trying to get it around. And I'm just looking for excuses to spend time with my son, and I'm probably looking for excuses to go watch football and justify it to my wife as well. So it's kind of worked really well for that. And it gives us, we talked about that commonality. For me and my son, I'm thinking, how do I parent him in such a way that he wants to spend time with me as an adult, and actually both with my son Judah, who's 9, and my daughter Josie, who's 7. What are the hobbies that we can create that will be hobbies that we can share as adults, so that we can keep that relationship going? So that's been something I've been exploring with him.
And have you found that football has connected you further with him? Like, has this been a really good bonding experience?
Yeah, it's been great. Listen, it's probably the thing we talk about most. He loves his stats like me, so he's obsessed with finding out who's made this many appearances. And actually, when we went to Hillsborough, he got really into the Hillsborough disaster. So we're like watching videos of that and how that unfolded and the injustices around that. But it's actually, Joe, just giving me loads of time with him. So if we're driving away to an away match, we were at Wrexham, recently, and you've just got time in the car, time to kill, and that's been really good just for the kind of one-on-one chats. And maybe there's something maybe about being men or being boys, that idea that you're not sitting down face to face, you're just sitting in the car driving, and you can have different conversations. So we talk about we talk about faith. We talk about, as he gets older and kind of his body and hormones and all those kinds of things that are ahead of him. On a couple of trips, I've kind of written out a few different conversation ideas and given him to that, and he can kind of navigate us through that. We talked about some of the things I'm learning about life. Some of the things kind of reading in the Bible, and it's just that kind of space and time. To use that to I guess impart to him some of what has been imparted to me, and just being able to share about that. So yeah, really enjoying that time, and just mindful that he'll only be a kid for another 9 years, and actually as he becomes a teenager, his friends will start to have a bigger place in his life, and I just want family to be important. I really want God to be important, and I really recognize the role I have in that. So just trying to intentionally identify spaces and opportunities to pour as much of that into him as I can.
Because these conversations, these are big conversations to have with your son, right? About faith, about growing up. If you were to have these conversations with him, in a coffee shop, head to head, you're looking at each other, that can get quite intense, right? And as he grows up, it might get a little more awkward, and he doesn't want to open up as much. But you kind of have this thing of football at the match. There's a lot of time. Does that make conversations easier when you're kind of focusing on something else?
Yeah, I mean, at the match, we're just engrossed in the game, and mostly looking forward to halftime. We have a little tradition where we try to bring a different dessert every halftime. So sometimes it's just like a bun or a scone. Sometimes it's a trifle. My favourite one, we went to watch Oxford in the playoff final at Wembley, where they beat Bolton. and I smuggled in Angel Delight. So I had like Angel Delight and a little collapsible bowl and a collapsible whisk.
How on earth did you do that?
I mean, that was just fun, because they got, I mean, it was the challenge of it. They've got all these restrictions of what you can and can't bring into the stadium. And so we whisked up some Angel Delight before the match started and then enjoyed that at halftime. So, building those kinds of traditions that are just those anchor points. But yeah, we probably don't talk lots at the match, just kind of watching the game and talking about the game. But in that time, kind of, driving to a stadium, or on the way home, whether that's, over at Matlock, we now live in Macclesfield, so we've been to, a few kind of Mac away games. That's been fun. We went to, Goodison before it closed down, those kinds of things. And just that time to just spend time talking, what's going on for him. And kind of, you get different kind of answers when you've got, real kind of uninterrupted time. And for me, it's just about being really intentional about that. So we're not putting on the radio. I'm not, kind of focusing on other things or distracted by other things, but just giving him that time.
That's really good. And we've spoken before on this podcast about how it is often the stuff around football, around, we had an interview recently with someone that worked for Bridge the Gap, and the topic of that conversation was, we host these football events, but it's the stuff before, it's the stuff afterwards that is the real meaningful time. But football's at the centre of that. What do you think it is about football that creates such natural spaces for these meaningful conversations?
I think football it's so accessible, in terms of sport. So it's not like cricket or American football or, golf, where you need loads of equipment, or, you need to kind of, some of these sports, you need a certain number of people to play. Like, I can play football on my own in the garden. Sometimes I do. Sometimes in a work break, I'll just go out and kick a football around, and recreate these kind of magic moments of your childhood. Just because it's fun to do. It gets you moving, gets you thinking. But I think football is really accessible. And that creates this kind of love of the game universally. And you can have a football conversation with anyone, really. Some people are really into football, like I've got a degree in it, and some people, not so much. But if you just watch, a couple of clips or seen a couple of headlines, it gives you that engagement space. So it kind of allows you to come in at that kind of surface level, and then you when you're talking to people, you're like, okay, are they kind of into football? The way David Cameron supports Aston Villa or West Ham, he can never remember which, or are they like really into football? And I can kind of deep dive and geek out on some of this stuff.
And do you think there's more opportunities for churches and Christians to get involved in football in other ways?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I when I was at university, I was part of a Christian union, and we had a kind of Christian union football. Now looking back on that, I was like, I don't know if we got that right. It was like, yeah, let's take all the Christians to one side and play football as Christians, and almost create this space where, some of the behavior was not very Christian, right? But it was very much, kind of separate from the world. Let's do our own thing. And looking back, I don't think that was the right approach. You're much better to be salt and light in the world, whether it's kind of, just going out and playing five-a-side with your mates. As I say, I'm nearly 40, so my five-a-side days are done. But it's just, it's that opportunity into conversation, it's that opportunity to connect with people. And I think, as the church, we want to shape the culture, but we need to be aware of the culture. John Stott had that quote, didn't he? He has his morning with the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other. And we're not there to be fully influenced by the world. We're not there to follow the world. But we need to be aware of what's going on in the world. We need to be aware of where people's heads are at, what they're into. So let's not have a church prayer meeting on a night when England are playing in the World Cup. Let's not hold an evangelistic event that isn't about football when there's a big game on. Let's be aware, and actually let's use those as opportunities. So our old church at the last Euros, had a lot of just hosted people in our space to come and watch the football, because we recognise people want to watch the football. They want to watch it with other people, and actually we can kind of knock down these barriers and just get people into our building to see, actually this isn't such a scary place after all, and a space to kind of make friends. So there's opportunities within that, and there's some great organisations doing stuff in this space already, and big tournaments like the one that Northern Ireland will hopefully be in next summer. Great opportunities for churches to get involved and almost use football, as a chance to tap into the conversation that the nation is happening, and just break down some of those barriers and obstacles to coming to know Jesus.
and the tournament that England will definitely be at next summer, the one you just referenced. I think that's such a good mindset, because thinking of the World Cup coming up, and we've had this over the last few years. I've certainly heard conversations in my church of, it's the World Cup final. We shouldn't cancel church for the World Cup final. Seeing these things as separate things, right? I love what you're saying, that actually this is a huge opportunity. Why not invite your friend to church to watch the World Cup final? They might prefer to watch it in a pub. That's okay. But let's not separate the two. I mean, I think that's such good advice.
There's opportunities for churches right now where, so our son is 9, he's really into his football, he plays on a Saturday morning. In 2 years' time, that's going to switch to Sunday morning, and we've been really clear with Judah, is that, personally, I don't have an issue with him playing football on Sundays, but if it's at the expense of church wins. That's just a non-negotiable. We've had that conversation early. He knows where we stand. And so if he has a football game and it kicks off at 1:00 and it's a home match or whatever, and we can make it, great, he'll be a part of it. If it's a 10:30 kickoff and it's away, then he won't be, because church wins. And that's the decision we've made as our family, and different families will come to their own decisions that were kind of influenced by, that verse that says, don't get out of the habit of meeting together. I think being part of a church community is really, really important. But our old church, when we lived in Oxford, that church met at 4:00 in the afternoon. And that kind of would remove that thing for us, as a family who say, actually, we're okay with playing football on a Sunday. That's not an issue for us. We see that as recreative, if you like, recreation. And so I think there's opportunities. You see families face this dilemma where their kids are really into football, or maybe really good at football, and there's opportunities that open up for them at that. And they don't like the idea that they're having to present to their kids, hey, you can't play football because it's kind of Jesus or football, and if a kid really loves football, then they're maybe sometimes less likely to love Jesus, because they feel that, he's just this kind of fun spoiler. So I think there's opportunities. Why do we always have to meet at 10:30 on a Sunday morning? Actually afternoon churches, particularly in big cities, where there might be 20, 30 really great churches that people can be a part of. But if they all meet at the same time, actually having one in the afternoon can just really open up possibilities for families to raise their kids in faith. And also, frankly, it's a barrier for families who aren't Christians, who want to be part of this quiet revival that we're hearing a lot about, who want to kind of explore Christianity and faith, but there's just no way really for many kind of adults who have children who are seeking Jesus, who are open to carol services, open to kind of hearing the gospel, but they don't feel prepared to really do that at the expense of taking their kids to play football that they're really into. So there's huge kind of, I think, discipleship opportunities to keep families who've got kids who love football in the church on Sundays. But also, I think, evangelistic opportunities there as well.
You mentioned there the quiet revival. I'd love to touch on this with your conversations with your son. Are you seeing kind of differences in faith as you speak to other generations?
I think what I'm seeing in him is, he's grown up in a Christian environment, kind of very similar to me. And the challenge for him is that it's not just that he knows about Jesus. It's the same for my daughter, kind of growing up in a Christian family. It's that they don't just know about Jesus, it's that they know Jesus. It's that their identity is rooted in him. As I said, my son's a real stato, and he can reel off, memory verses and all these different things that he knows about the Bible, and, how many loaves and fish and all this and that. But actually what I want more for him is to know the Jesus who's in the Bible, not just know the Bible about Jesus. And that's really important, and that's, just talking about my kind of day job with Wycliffe Bible Translators. That's what we're about. We're not about translating the Bible into people's languages for the first time so that they can know the Bible. We do that so that people can know Jesus, and Jesus is revealed to us through the pages of Scripture, the Old Testament and the New Testament. We learn about salvation. We have that invitation open up to us in our own language, and that's my hope for my kids, and that's our hope at Wycliffe Bible Translators for people all around the world, that they can hear God speak to them in the language they dream in, they cry in, they laugh in. So right now there's still 1 in 5 people around the world who still don't have the Bible in their own language. We don't think that's right. We don't think that's fair. And we want to be part of changing that and help unlock God's word for every heart.
So Robin, speaking of Wycliffe, how can we be praying for you guys?
Yeah, thank you. I think For us, our heart is for those 1 in 5 people around the world who still don't have the Bible in their own language. And, I just think of myself, being able to read the Bible with my daughter, with my son, being able to, unveil these Bible stories to them for the first time. And yet there's so many Christian parents around the world who are not able to do that. The only Bible they have is in a different language to the one they speak. It's trapped in a language they don't understand. And so our prayer is that we would see God's word unlocked for more people, and both people who believe in Jesus, but their understanding of him is slightly warped, because they're not able to fully understand what the Bible says, because it's in a language they don't fully understand. And then for those people who don't know Jesus yet, and in so many contexts, God seems foreign. And of course he's foreign if he speaks a different language. So when the Bible is translated, it really helps people in different contexts to realize God is not foreign. God speaks my language. He speaks the language of my heart. So our prayer is that we'd be able to see that happen more and more. Just this week, we've launched our Christmas appeal. We're trying to raise £1 million before Christmas Eve, with every pound given to that doubled. And so we're really just hoping that the money donated to that appeal will just help us do more and see more people come to know Jesus through the Bible through 2026 and beyond.
So please pray for Wycliffe Bible Translators. If you can get involved in the appeal, then please also do that. Robin, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for all you've contributed. And a couple of questions left. Where's next on the stadium tour?
Next on the stadium tour, I'm trying to rearrange a work trip, but I don't think I'll be able to do it. I'd love to go to Ewood Park to see Blackburn against Oxford on the 9th of December. So that would be the next one that's possibly lined up.
Best pie in the UK, I reckon, Ewood Park.
Oh, do you know what? I had a really good pie at Witton Albion.
Really?
So this is in the village of Northwich, which incredibly holds 3 different teams. So we went to see Witton Albion in the FA Cup, and it was a really top pie. I was really happy with that.
What was the dessert there?
What did we bring there? I can't remember. Well, we brought cakes. We brought sticky toffee pudding's a nice one. My son really likes trifle. So I mean, my favourite bit of stadiums is going to some of these kind of, Premier League or Champions League stadiums, and they search your bags because they're looking for knives or bottles or things like that, and then they see a trifle. I did actually accidentally smuggle a knife into Elland Road. It was a kind of pre-Christmas match, and I brought a cheese board, and kind of realised that, so obviously to cut the cheese, kind of Wensleydale, I brought this kind of little knife in the kitchen, and then realised, I've got a blade in a football match, so kind of hastily put that away when I realised what I'd done.
How do you explain that? It's for my cheese board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And obviously the final question on this podcast, you might have seen this coming. Who is your ideal big man up top?
Oh, my ideal big man up top. I got into football kind of post in Dowie. In Dowie was, this great Englishman who played for Northern Ireland. So for me, it's James Quinn. So he played for, West Brom and Peterborough and a few kind of lower league teams. No offence, West Brom and Peterborough fans. He was English as well, but he played for Northern Ireland, and he was brilliant. So when we played England in 2005, it took him 8 seconds to snap the legs of Ashley Cole, which kind of set the tone for that match that we won 1-0. But the song about him, because 15 years earlier, we'd had a striker from Northern Ireland called Jimmy Quinn, and so James Quinn's song was, he's tall, he's thin, he looks like Jimmy Quinn, it's Jimmy Quinn. Yeah.
It's good stuff, and great to have one more mention of that 1-0 win.
I mean, I just don't want it to be edited out, Joe. That's my panic. So we said it at the start, we said it at the end. You're not editing it out. Actually, I'm British home champion, reigning. The last British home championship, 1984. And then we won it, and then it's never been held since. So, we hold that one proudly.
No one's ever going to take that away from you. Robin, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you joining us on the Big Man Up Top.
Joe, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Tom, I think we just about got away with that, do you think?
I'd say so.
Wasn't too tenuous?
Absolutely. No, I think that was a good balance of faith and football.
Because the thing is, we were speaking to Robin a bit before the record, and I really liked the cut of his jib.
Oh.
I was...
It's a sailing term, that.
Is it really?
It's different terminology. Wrong sport, Joe.
Is that sailing?
It is, yeah. Jib is like... It's like a beam or something on a ship, I think.
Wow.
I could be wrong. It could be a knot. I don't think there's a jib knot. I think it's a beam.
It's a beam. Wow.
It's a beam.
Who knew?
Or pole or something.
Something to do with sailing.
Let's stick to football.
Let's stick to football. Let's do that. But Robin knows his stuff, and we were chatting before about this interview. I was like, I just really want to chat to this guy because his football history knowledge is insane. He loves football. And we managed to talk about Jesus as well. And there was some really good stuff in there about how do you make football accessible in a church. Traditionally, church and football might be kept separate, but really good stuff.
Absolutely.
Let's combine the two. Now, he did also mention, Tom...
I'm actually brimming with excitement.
Yeah.
He mentioned the Mournfleet Stadium, Joe.
He did.
Alex! Home of the Red and White Army.
You know all about the Mournfleet Stadium.
Absolutely, I do.
Amazing.
I've been there.
Maybe you sat in the same seat.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah.
That would be. Maybe we were at the same game. Definitely not.
Probably not.
Definitely not.
I think he said he had a season ticket at Oxford, so he might have been to Crewe against Oxford. I mean, he probably would have.
It's amazing how many places have football teams. It's literally every single place has a football team. Does the Isle of Wight have a football team?
You know what? I actually don't know. It probably does. I was doing some research last week about Sealand. Have you heard of Sealand?
What? Isn't that a amusement park?
No. It's a fort. Basically, it's like a sea fort.
What?
In the war, it was used to defend from the Germans. This is taking a real time.
No, this is cool, though. This is cool. I like this. This is what the Big Man Up Top's about now. It's about German forts.
Yeah, and the fort was used to defend from Germany. It was started by this guy who started a radio station, Radio Essex. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
So he started Radio Essex, and the initial fort he was on was called Knock John. And that was under UK jurisdiction, and he wasn't allowed to run his radio station from Knock John.
Ooh.
Exactly. So he moved to what is now known as Sealand and started a radio station there because it's 7 nautical miles away from the UK back to sailing. And he can do whatever he basically can do whatever he wants.
Oh, wow.
7 miles away because the UK can't do anything about it. Anyway, all that to say,
there's a football team.
They've got a football team.
No way!
Yeah.
What? I thought I was kidding. No, seriously?
They've got a football team. There's a population of between 1 and 5 people on Sealand. So they have to...
Between 1 and 5?
They have to draft in people to play for Sealand. So Ralph Little, who's an actor, he has played Jack Whitehall, the comedian, has played football for Sealand. So,
can we play football for Sealand? I need to try and organise that.
It could be
Imagine
doable.
That would be brilliant.
Anyway, Ed can't come back soon enough.
Absolutely. Return, Ed. Relieve me. No, we do miss him.
Anyway, there'll be another episode next week, Tom. Thanks for joining me again.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, as always.
I'm sure we'll have you back on the mic soon enough.
Well, not too soon.
Well, we'll see. Thank you very much for listening to the Big Man Up Top podcast. Please give us a 5-star review on Spotify and any other site that you may consume this content, Tom. I've not got the script in front of me, so I'm kind of riffing here.
I'll get us on Sailing Weekly now as well, which I assume is some kind of platform.
Yeah, it must be a magazine, I reckon. Please get in touch on podcast at ucb.co.uk.
That's the one.
See us on YouTube at Big Man Up Top Pod.
You don't need a script. You've got this memorised. I'm so proud.
See you next week.
See you next week.